Bonjour.
You just have to believe in what you're doing, and not change when there's like a trend going on. You know, there's a lot of things with street food and that took off. You know, there's now all this vegan malark going on, but I ain't got anything against vegans, but it's not for me. I don't want it shoved down my throat.
No, that makes sense.
And there's a lot of places that now they'll start doing vegan everything. There's a lot of things like, you know, Greg's and that, for example. It's crazy. Don't change what you're doing, because trends come and go. Just stick to what you know and do it well, and people will come.
Hello and welcome back to Breaking Bread, the Birmingham-based food podcast presented by food-obsessed mates Liam and Carl. I'm your host Liam. Very, very happy to have you all here today with us. You know, we do this podcast because we honestly believe that Birmingham has one of the best food and drink scenes in the country. We really do love it, and we often feel like it just doesn't get the kind of respect or recognition it deserves. So we're here to kind of tell you all about it and share the stories of some of the amazing people who make it so special. So thank you all for listening, and thanks for everyone who listened to our last episode with Mike Bullard from the Butcher's Social in Henley. Awesome response again. Obviously we've been quite chef heavy lately, and people seem to like the chef ones. We get a lot more feedback about the chef ones, but we like to keep it fresh, keep changing it up, give you different things. But yeah, thanks very much for listening to that, and for everyone who took the time to get in touch, we love that. And for everyone who's gave us a rating on iTunes and just the little messages, thank you very much. Really do appreciate it. Obviously, if you did enjoy that episode, and if you listen to this one and you enjoy this one, which we hope you will, whichever app provider you're using to listen to this podcast, there'll be a little subscribe button there somewhere in the corner. If you could just click on that subscribe button. Obviously it's free. Our podcast is always going to be free. But yeah, so you can subscribe for free, and that way you'll just never miss any other episodes. Every one will be straight into your inbox. You might even get a little notification on every second Friday when we release. So if you could do that for us, that'd be brilliant. As always, in the city, there's lots of really exciting things coming up, and we like to just give a little plug in the intros to some of the stuff that's coming up. We got a nice little message yesterday from a little group called Violatology Events. They're a group based out of University of Birmingham. For their course, they're organising a really, really, really cool event. It's just something for all you gin fanatics. On Sunday the 15th of March at 4 p.m. from All Bar 1 Brindley Place, they are hosting a fantastic gin tasting event. Obviously there'll be a break of different gins to try and different tonics to kind of pair them with, and decide which ones you like the most, and make your own garnish to go with, and make a garnish garden, take it home with you. So that's awesome. There's a raffle, so that's class. And probably the best thing about it is it's all actually in aid of the really incredible St Basils, nice little local homeless charity in Birmingham. So if you can go and buy tickets, I think tickets cost £15 plus booking, but obviously all profits go to St Basils. Really great charity, really great group of people. If you could go and support that, we'd be really grateful. You can get the tickets on Eventbrite. If you just search for gin tasting in Birmingham, probably will come up. We'll also make sure that the link is in our show notes, so you can head over to that and just click that link and buy some tickets. It's Sunday the 15th of March in All Bar 1 in Brindley Place. You'll not want to miss it. Some of the raffle prizes we've got as well. Really great prizes. Hopefully the city's been generous like it usually is in these kind of things. So yeah, if you could support that, that'd be great. Another thing we have on May the 9th and May the 10th, the Bond is hosting for the very last time at this venue the Independent Festival. Not sure if you've been before. It's just awesome event full of street food. There's pop-up restaurants, coffee, craft beer, natural wine, bit of everything really. Just a really nice atmosphere, great event. And as I said, this is the last one, but tickets have just gone on sale for that. They are selling out quite fast, and I think they do always sell out real fast. So if you haven't got them tickets yet, go ahead and get them. You can probably just search Independent Birmingham on any social media platform, and you'll get the link to that. Make sure you get in there fast before they're all gone. So that's coming up. That's exciting. And tickets just dropped this week, so that's cool. Now, on to today's episode. This week's episode is with young head chef of fine dining restaurant Maribel. Really, really beautiful restaurant in Brindley Place. Fine dining. They do a la carte and tasting menus, but I know everywhere says now, like, oh, it's relaxed fine dining. This is really relaxed. It's great atmosphere in the restaurant, and Harvey's food is incredible. It's hard to believe how young he is. Well, he started in kitchens at the age of 14 while he was still at school. He started training at Opus, worked his way there before moving to some really top name restaurants, including, like, obviously cooked for Michelin while he was at Hampton Manor. Just, yeah, an incredible journey. It's hard to believe he's only as young as he is. His head's screwed on, as you'll hear in the episode. Like, he's well ahead of his time. Like, most of his mates are probably still out partying, but his head's well and truly screwed on, and he's doing something amazing at Maribel. And it's really worth getting down and tasting his food, because it's really good. We have a really great chat with him, and I really hope you enjoy it. This episode, we give you a real insight into one of the most talented young chefs in the country, and what it's like to be head chef at such a kind of big name restaurant. You'll hear more about why it's such a big name restaurant during the podcast, and you'll hear more about Harvey and his career. So hope you enjoy. Ladies and gentlemen, Harvey. Hello and welcome back to Breaking Bread, the Birmingham food podcast, presented by food obsessed mates Liam and Carl. I'm your host Liam, this is Carl.
Sorry, I'm laughing. Hello.
Today we are very, very lucky to be invited into the beautiful restaurant that is Maribel, and we are joined by head chef Harvey. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Yeah, good.
Doing okay?
Yeah, doing alright, getting there.
Don't seem too nervous. Few beers.
Yeah, a few beers, chilled out, that's it.
That's the way to do it. Kind of want to start, as we kind of start most podcasts, want to get to know you a little bit more. So we just said off air then, and I wish that we were recording, that you're not originally from Birmingham.
No, I'm not, no.
But you're an honorary Brummie now.
Yeah, I like to say so. I think so as well, yeah. A lot of people who know me would say I am, yeah.
So where were you from originally?
So I'm from Nottingham originally, and moved to Birmingham in 2007, age of 11.
Age of 11.
Yeah.
Straight into school. Secondary school?
Straight into secondary school, year 7, midway through. Yeah, it took a bit of time to adjust, but like I said, I feel like a Brummie now.
What part of Birmingham?
Edgbaston.
Edgbaston, yeah. Nice.
Don't worry, I say Edgbaston, it's not the nice part of Edgbaston, it's just because it falls under the same postcode. Makes my mum proud.
What did you think of Birmingham when you first came? Or?
So like I said to you off air then, it was a massive culture shock for me moving from Nottingham, being the only Asian family in our area, and in the community actually, and moving to Birmingham, and it was just a massive culture shock. Took a bit of time to adjust and make friends.
Culture shock for the better, yeah.
Well, for the better, yeah. Like I said, I feel like a honorary Brummie now, and this is my home. And seeing other people that had similar interests to me, like food-wise, background-wise as well.
Was food always a big part of home life?
Yeah, massive. I think that's what really gave me the inspiration from a young age. There's pictures of me. I should have brought them with me today, actually. There's me with pots and pans, and instead of like toys or action figures and stuff. But like going from my grandma right to my mum as well, it's always been really important to me. Food.
You can definitely send us over them photos, and we'll use them to promote this.
Yeah, that's sound. I'll send them over. I'll dig them out.
So, but did I have you in the kitchen straight away, or?
Not really. I'd say it's. Well, when I was 7, 8 years old is when I first really saw what was going on, like in the home. Like my mum would make a chicken curry, and it's still my favourite thing to this day. Seeing my grandma make chapatis by hand, rolling them perfectly round. I mean, to this day, I can't even make them perfectly round. So that's a credit to her, I suppose. But yeah, from the age of 7 and 8, you know, the smells in the household and just seeing the food that was produced, good home cooking.
Yeah,
that's what it's all about.
Was it a good way of getting new friends? Like, I know if my mates, mum and gran were cooking food like that, I'd be there.
Yeah, what we used to do in our neighbourhood in Nottingham, it was in our cul-de-sac. We used to swap dishes around. So like my mum would make a curry on a Sunday, And there's a family that I was really close to, like I was close with their daughter. We were very close friends when we were younger. And her mum would make an apple crumble, and it's still my favourite dessert to this day, apple crumble. But we used to swap dishes. So there'd be a Chinese family down the road as well. They'd make something, they'd send it over, and it'd be a really real community vibe going on.
What was so special about the crumble?
I don't know. It's just one of them.
You haven't tried to rob the recipe and do like a fancy version at Maribel, like deconstructed.
Well, actually, saying that,
you didn't teach Simon Carlo this apple crumble, did you? No.
Well, I've got a dish on at the moment. Actually, so on the pastry section, it's like a take on an apple pie kind of flavours. But it's got parsnip in there, so you got parsnip mousse.
What's that like?
Puff pastry. It's really nice. Really
Is
tasty.
it not what you'd expect?
Not what you expect. A lot of people say the parsnip tastes like white chocolate because it's got a nice sweetness to it, and we put vanilla in through it as well in puree. It's got a nice tanginess as well. We finish it with cream cheese, so it's nice and balanced.
Well, a nice bit of acidity in it.
Yeah, that's I'd say that's the nod to the old apple crumble.
So from there, then obviously food, big influence at home. When was your first job in a professional kitchen?
So when I moved to Birmingham, I think it was about year 8 when I was the age of 14, and I'd done a cooking competition at school. And obviously because I'd been interested in food pretty much most of my life up to then, I used to watch cooking programs and everything. And
what was your favourite?
I'd say it was Ready Steady Cook back then. I was only a child, but
do you know how many people? Every chef says Ready Steady Cook. Like everyone, it's everyone's like secret little thing. Like everyone's a bit embarrassed by it, but really, like it was class. Wasn't it? Like
yeah, it's because my mum used to have it on, so I used to sit with her and watch it. You know, so it was one of them things.
Everyone loves the idea as well of just like somebody handing you a carrier bag full of food and saying, "Go on then, go cook."
Yeah.
It's like chefing at its most basic instinct that it's amazing. Like, sorry, I interrupted there.
That's right.
So you were saying then your first job?
When I moved to Birmingham, I'd done a cooking competition at school called Future Chef. Any child any kid between the age of 14 and 16 to do a competition, and I'd done that, entered it, won the school heat. Then after that, I went to the regional finals. Went there, I won that, and that's where it really took off for me. Was one of the judges was Professor David Colcombe, who was chef director at Opus at the time.
Oh yeah,
and he obviously judged it and picked me as a winner. And
what'd you cook?
I done a smoked haddock risotto with a poached egg.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
that's good. How did you know how to cook that?
Well, it's just that's the thing. Like when we was in school in food tech, we'd have to do dishes up obviously for our, I don't know, it's not an exam really when you're at school, but for the project. And
I went to the wrong school.
A lot of kids were doing like stir frying stuff, and that kind of basic.
Yeah, that's what I did.
I remember when it was we had to do a stir fry. I rocked up there with a duck breast, like glass noodles. I was thinking I was next level, like, and it's basically from that really. I used to just always do things outside the box, like different dishes to everyone else, and then everyone will get me to like help them chop an onion or do this, and in the class.
Was that competition still going?
I think it is in some format. I think it's still called Future Chef.
That's a good idea, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really good.
It should be.
It gave me something else to do. You know, at school when you're young, you feel like you can just mess about and do whatever. But it actually gave me a bit of stability at that age, I think.
Academically good? Or?
No. I leave that to my brother. No, I wasn't very academic. I'm more of a when I learn how to do stuff, I'm more a hands-on person.
Yeah.
I need to be involved in it and see it be done in front of me and be involved in the learning process.
You always knew that about yourself, so it was
I always knew that. Like sitting in class and stuff wasn't really for me. I'd drift off and stuff like that. It's kinesthetic learning, more hands-on, 100%.
Did you win the competition?
No, so I'd done the regional finals. Unfortunately, I didn't win the national part. But what had happened when David had judged it, he basically invited me to Opus to improve the dish and see how the kitchen was ran professionally.
Was it anything what you expected? Or?
No, it was insane, but I loved it though. Like I just loved it, like the way people are like buzzing about, like zipping from one end to the other, getting things done. It was on a Saturday actually. I went there and he basically said, "Oh, here's the head chef Ben, who's still there to this day." He was like, "You can improve your smoked haddock risotto with a poached egg. How about a butter sauce on there?" I was like, "Okay, I've never seen it before. Let's have a go." There's things like that, and then from there it really took off because. After that, he was like, "Do you fancy?" I didn't win the competition, but after that, he'd said to me, "How about you fancy a Friday night, Saturday job?" While I was still at school at the age of 14.
Was that it? You knew then that was it?
Yeah, I was like, "That's it. I'm hooked." I was hooked, and I done that, And from there it just snowballed.
At 14, how were you getting to and from the restaurant?
So that's my mum. That is, yeah.
So she was driving you
Yeah, my
to
mum
there
was heavily
every
involved
Friday,
in-
Saturday night.
Yeah, my mum had spoken to David, and still to this day they've got quite a close relationship. I
That's
like to
gonna-
think of David as, you know, my father wasn't around when I was growing up. And,
Yeah.
my mum's single parent, and David was sort of that father figure for me.
I was going to say, because that's a big step for a
Yeah.
14-year-old as well.
Yeah,
So I can imagine you were working till quite late.
Yeah, it was working quite late. Obviously, on the Friday, I finished school, have a couple of hours, and go in at like 6, 7 o'clock, and I'd be shadowing the person on the veg section. And then it came to a point where I was basically ready to do it on my own, and I was running the veg section throughout the week. Obviously, they're doing the prep for the rest of the week, but for the Saturday service, I'd do all the prep and everything.
Wow. Cheap labour, I suppose.
Yeah. But the thing is, then I wasn't. You know, you don't. At the age of 14, I'm not thinking about money or anything.
No.
Hold up, I'm working. I've got a job. Like,
Well, that's a good restaurant as well. It's not like
yeah,
flipping burgers at McDonald's.
yeah,
That's
to a high standard as well. And obviously, the word got around at school. Like, Harvey's cooking. Like, my mum knows that you're cooking. How do you want to come round our house and do? I'm like, I don't really know much. I can if you want me to.
So was it sort of that point you're at school and thought, well, I'm definitely doing this, so school can definitely do
100%, yeah,
one.
That was it. And like I said, I wasn't that academic, and it's something that I love doing as well. It gave me a purpose.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So it was one of them, as soon as you were able to finish school, that's it, full time.
Yeah, and that's what happened. I was working there, doing the summer holidays, and then I'd done my exams and stuff at school, and David said, how about you doing an apprenticeship and coming on full time? I was like, yeah, let's go for it. And he actually sat down with my mum and went through with her to say if I wanted to go to college, UCB. And my mum had actually stepped in and said, I don't think that's a good idea for Harvey, because the way he learns, he's not focused enough to, which is the honest truth. I'm not focused enough to go and sit down in a class. I'll probably end up dropping out or something like that. And that was the best decision that was ever made for me, doing the work on-site apprenticeship.
So you didn't go to college at all?
Didn't go to college, didn't go to uni.
Oh,
I just
wow.
done a workplace apprenticeship. Yeah.
That's amazing, because another company or restaurant might have made you just go for, like, have to do all that.
Yeah.
And then for your mum as well. Was your mum always happy that that was the role you were going to do? And
Yeah, because my mum had seen the kind of path I was going down anyway, which wasn't a nice one.
Yeah,
at that age, and that's mainly, apart from her getting a job, moving to Birmingham. That was another reason we came to Birmingham, was to get a bit of focus for me, because I was out of control as a kid. Because of what had happened with her, and a single parent, that kind of stuff had an effect on me at a young age. And we had to move here closer to the family to keep an eye on me, to make sure I was going down the right path for sure.
yeah, I suppose, because I'm sure you won't mind me telling everyone you're quite young.
Yeah.
Maybe it's progressed a bit, because when I was like 16, to say I was going to do a chef, like, it wasn't the most prestigious job, like, and there was negative connotations kind of attached to it, but you had none of that.
I had none of that. None of that came into my mind at all, because it was giving me a purpose, and I was learning so much, and it was enjoyable. But I was proud to go to school after the summer holidays and say, I've just worked 6 weeks in the kitchen, and I've earned a bit of money as well, you know what I mean? And I didn't know that at the time until I was a bit older. But my mum was saving the money for me, and for my 18th birthday she gave it all to me. I was like, wow, I earned all this while I was doing that at 14, 15, 16.
Yeah, that is incredible.
Yeah.
Well, how did you find the food at Opus? Was it stuff you were used to?
No, not at all. Well, I'd seen the stuff obviously on the cooking shows and stuff, but it's 2 rosettes. It was a really good standard looking back now. Everything's made in house as well. And that was, I'd always say about Opus, I was there for 6 years, from the age of 14 to 20, and I'd say it gave me the foundations and gave me the core skills and the regimen as well of how to work in the kitchen. And I'll always be grateful for everyone that was there. There's a couple of times I used to misbehave. Obviously, I was still out of school, still raw. In that sense, when you come out of school, you feel like you can talk to anyone, however, because you talk to your teachers like that. You think that's how the world is. It gave me that discipline, and gave me the respect of working with others. It's not a one-man team, and being involved in something.
Is there any particular examples that you could cite that was any good example of how you were sort of put in your place?
There's a couple of times where I used to talk to a senior member of staff sometimes, so especially Ben. We had a few run-ins when I was there. Because obviously I was David's golden child, as they say. So I used to go out with David and do like the outside events and stuff like that, and I remember we went to a school that one of the directors is on the board, and it was with Kraft. We went there and they were sponsoring it, and we were showing the kids how to chop veg and stuff. And he took me because of my story.
Yeah.
It made sense to take me, and because I was a golden child, I used to get away with quite a few things. Yeah, with the way I was speaking to people and stuff. Looking back now, maybe they could have been a bit more harsh on me. Actually, yeah, because I wouldn't take it for sure.
I was say we hear some stories about how some people are treated in kitchens. It sounds like you've had a great time compared to some. Yeah.
When I was first there, obviously, and David was there. I was there. I didn't have any chef shoes or anything. I just had like the basic stuff. I used to wear Converse in the kitchen, and I'd be standing looking at what the sauce chef's doing, and the veg section's all the way on the other side of the kitchen. And he'd be like, David would come over, he'd be like, "What are you doing over here?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm just looking, chef." He's like, "Get back in the corner." And this was like when I was there for like the first 4 weeks, like properly. And I was like, "Oh, hold up a minute, like I wasn't expecting this. Like you've just offered me a job and been all nice to me and like built me up." And I'm like, "Whoa, what's this?" And it made me realise I've got to earn people's respect. You're not just going to get it handed out to you. And I ended up earning his respect. I put a graft in.
Yeah.
I was working hard, and there's a couple of times I'm almost at breaking point. You know, I'm young. I'm like, "Mom, I don't want to do this." Going home in tears.
Wow.
No one knew about it because I put in a brave face. But when I was at home, I opened up to my mom and I was like, "I don't think I can do this." But yeah, I earned his respect, and I remember the day. I know I fully earned his respect when he brought a pair of chef shoes, the same ones as he's got, and he brought them over to me, and he was like, "These are for you." And I was like, "Wow." He's like, "What are these for?" He's like, "You've been working hard, and I see the potential in you, and well done."
If anyone doesn't know, do you want to explain what chef shoes are?
Chef shoes, so like Crocs, or similar to Crocs or Birkenstocks at that time. Yeah.
You say you had moments where you were thinking of packing it in and you were going home in tears. What made you come back?
My mom. She was like, she was
kicking
like,
and screaming.
No, more of the opposite actually. She took the softly approach, but she could see that I was enjoying it most of the time. Like it was very rare I'd come home upset, but she'd be like, "You need to learn how to take criticism and be told how to do stuff, because all your life up until that point, when I was told to do something, I wouldn't do it." and that's why I just go against the grain. And I had to learn how to take on feedback and learn how to take people speaking to me in a certain way and listen and do as you're told. And that was it really. And it was her. Without her, I wouldn't be here today, so I really do owe her a lot.
It sounds like it.
Yeah.
What does your mum think of your food?
She loves it, yeah. She doesn't really come out to eat much. She's not really that of a foodie person, but when she does like to come out sometimes. I remember her coming out with one of the people she works with, where I was working them one time, and I remember going out to the table, and she said, "I'm dead proud of what you've done." And so it was the first time actually she'd come to eat. And she's like, "I'm dead proud of you, and you're doing really well." And
that's amazing. That's when you know you've made it. Then once you've made your mum happy, that's it.
That's it. Yeah, I was always a second favourite child as well, so it done all right for me, that did.
Every sibling thinks
I love you,
Mum.
So you're working at Opus. How far up the sort of food chain did you go there in the end?
So I got up to chef de party when I was there.
Wow.
Yeah, so it wasn't too shabby.
No.
But it's mad because I'll go back a little bit. When I was a bit younger there, and obviously working while I was at school, we used to get the kids in from the college. We were doing the placements and stuff, and I'd be running rings around them, not in a boasty way, but I'd be running rings around them, and they'd be like, "How old are you?" And I'm like, I'm 15, 16, mate. How old are you? "Oh, I'm 19. And they're like, used to have to pick these big boxes of spinach, and I used to do them in like 15 minutes, and they're there like crouched over the sink, like literally picking one leaf per like 4 minutes. It's ridiculous. But yeah, I got up to chef de party when I was there. And
did you get much influence on the dishes at that sort of level?
A little bit, but it was more of the case of running section. So I was doing the veg section for a long time. Then I moved over to the larder, which was the cold starters. Then I moved over to the hot starters, and I was doing a bit of fish. I didn't really do much meat cookery there or butchery, because David was always in the mindset of that's a job for the people who are the head chef, sous chef, myself. It was never really a job for like someone who's a chef de party. But I used to sometimes prep the fish and stuff. But
did you have a favourite dish while you were there?
Not really a favourite. One that sticks out in my mind though, which is still on the menu to this day since they opened, is the smoked haddock and leek fish cake they've got on there.
Yeah,
with the poached egg. And that's been on since day dot, and it's still going strong to this day. But I remember having to make them, shaping about 150 of them. Yeah.
Oh, so and it's still your favourite.
Yeah, with one mould as well, by the way. Yeah, it took a bit of time, but once you get into a rhythm, it's all right. It's quite therapeutic.
I'll take your word for it. I don't fancy trying it. Like.
Now, looking back now, I don't want to do it.
Yeah, you wouldn't go back to doing that. No chance. Do you have a favourite thing that you learned from Opus? I know you probably learned that much, but
yeah,
do you have any favourites?
The one thing that sticks out in my mind is when Ben. I do owe Ben a lot actually because he's he put up with me. I was a terror, and the one thing he actually showed me was how to prep like lemon sole and Dover sole. Like take the skirts, gut it, take the head off, and that's one thing that actually sticks in my mind actually that I learned from there.
Fish is intimidating, like really. It's once you see the face, you panic.
I love prepping fish. And I love prepping anything really. Like once I've been shown once, I very rarely make a mistake now. But once I've been shown once, I know how it's done.
You got that fast learning. Showing it once, never forget.
Yeah.
That's good, isn't it? I'd say there's quite a few chefs that learn like that, and then they're probably dismissed in school.
Yeah.
Because it's a completely different way of learning. That's why schools don't really work.
They're not. And they don't. Looking back now, they don't teach you about life. I think if school
That's
taught
true.
you about life, you'd be okay. There's a lot of people that go to school and what have you learnt really? Not really learnt anything.
Or how much of the stuff that you've learned do you use after you finish school?
A lot.
None.
When you're at school, yeah, you don't.
Once anything you learned at school, you don't.
When you're out of school, when you're working on a job or something, you learn everything. You
learn everything
about life,
yeah.
how to pay bills, how to do this, like everything.
I've always said I've learned probably more in the last 5 years than I did in the whole 10, 15 years you're at school. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
How did you finish your time with Opus? Was it?
Yeah, it was okay. I mean, obviously David had left by then. It was like 6 months before, and I took it quite hard actually. He parted ways with Opus, and I was like, well, like the one person who put all this into me, and they're no longer here. What am I going to do? And I was at a crossroads. I was like, what am I going to do? I stuck it out for a bit, but then I realized.
Where had he gone somewhere else or?
Yeah, he just left Opus, and he was doing his own thing.
Oh right.
Yeah, so I don't know why, but he was just doing his own thing. I left it for 6 months, carried on, but I just felt like I'd hit a ceiling, and I wasn't going to learn anymore. I know I'd got up to only a chef de pie, but I felt like I wasn't going to learn anymore from Opus. Yeah. And the food was kind of changing as well. The style of food, it was becoming a bit more brasserie type of food and more relaxed, and like poussins with quinoa salad and stuff like that, which is great. But I wanted to learn what I was doing before.
Yeah. It was so it kind of went a bit more bistro.
Yeah, kind of
more accessible. Relaxed, yeah. Which is still good.
Yeah, it's good.
It's just not what you wanted to do.
When you running a restaurant, you need to think on your feet, and you need to think of ways to keep relevant.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, businesses have to stay fresh. I mean, if the doesn't matter how good the restaurant is and how good the food is, if the business isn't making any money, what's the point?
Yeah,
That's it. Yeah. Did you hand in your notice like pretty much straight away and moved on? Or?
Yeah, and then I just moved on. They wanted me to stay, but like I said, I hit the ceiling, and I was just like, I'm not gonna stay anymore. And that was it. That was the end of it, really.
So where was next?
So after that, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know. So I knew I wanted to carry on being a chef, but because I'd been there so long, I'd become a bit institutionalized.
Yeah, because you started there so young as well. Yeah. Like you've grown up with Opus.
That's it, and that's one thing I'd say about being in this industry is don't stay somewhere too long, because if you go somewhere else, you're going to get ran circles around you.
Did you do any stages or anything while you're at Opus?
No, not when I was at Opus, no. But after Opus, I moved on to Hampton Manor, and that's where I ended up next, and that's a whole different ball game. That was where, for me, like the kind of food I do now has a little bit of influence from there.
Was it Peels
at Hampton Manor, yeah.
Michelin star, so it's obviously...
well, when I went there, it was 3 rosettes, and to be part of the team actually cooked for Michelin, which was, no one could take that away from me.
Yeah.
No, being a part of that whole process and seeing what it takes, and winning that Michelin star as part of the team, and the 4th rosette as well, was insane. Yeah,
4 there's not many restaurants with 4 rosettes. Wilderness has one now, or is it?
It's 3, I think. Yeah.
3. Is it most of Ramsey's restaurants 3 rosette as well, or something?
I'm not sure. With stuff like that, I mean,
it's a big achievement. I know the Michelin star gets all the attention and the media and stuff, but don't sleep on the AA. Like,
yeah, that's it. And
some of the best restaurants are AA.
Yeah, some of them have just got rosettes, or some places that are really good, they don't even have anything.
Butcher's Social in Henley, yeah. Butcher's Social in Henley doesn't have that.
Little cheeky plug.
Does this not go? This hasn't got any result either.
No, nothing, because they changed the name from. It used to be called Edmonds.
Yeah,
they changed the name to Maribel's because the head chef before me wanted it to be a different name because he had a problem with the old head chef.
Yeah,
and didn't want to work for his granddad's name or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
but yeah.
I think if everyone does a bit of googling, they'll probably hear. They can come across that stuff.
I'm not giving no free.
Yeah, that's somebody else's podcast and somebody else's problem. That. What did you start at Hampton Manor? Where did you?
So I started off as a chef de partie.
Yeah.
And I ended up leaving there as junior sous chef. I was only there for 2 years, but 95% of the time it was amazing. Just learning. It was a totally different way of learning, different way of working. Such a family culture.
It seems that way.
Like everyone's in it together. Like I remember we used to come in at 9 o'clock, do a bit of mise en place. We'd get a break because we don't do lunch service there.
Yeah.
And afternoon tea was looked after by banqueting and stuff. So we just literally come in at 9 o'clock, focus on the restaurant. It's only maximum 25 covers. Doing that, and then at 2:30, 3 o'clock, we end up going to the boozer. Go to the boozer, sink about 4 pints, go back and produce this level of food. It was insane. Like, we used to do that kind of thing. I don't know if it's the same now, but we didn't do that every week, mind, or every day. I'll just let that be known. But
kind of the whole kind of work together, play together, family.
Yeah, I remember we used to go. We used to go to Resorts World sometimes together. The lads in the kitchen, or we go for pizza. And stuff like that.
Yeah.
It was a proper family environment.
Was it more of a kind of take your time and make sure every single dish is perfect, whereas before you might have been something like, we've got to get this done fast because we've got lunch coming up, we've got this coming up, or... Yeah,
I mean, it's a totally different pace. Slowed right down for me because at Opus, you're running around. You're coming at 8 o'clock, you're running around and 100 miles an hour trying to get ready for lunch, dinner, private dining, all of that stuff. Then Hampton Manor was really slowed down. I was a bit intimidated when I first got there. When I was on my trial, I sort of felt a bit relaxed, but when I first started there, when they offered me the job, I felt a bit intimidated because, the level of produce coming through the door was insane. I was like, am I even going to be able to prep this properly, or am I going to be able to make this recipe to Rob, who's a head chef, to his standard? But I grew into it.
Did Rob have a big part into that, or?
Yeah, and that's testament to Rob, really. He's, Rob Palmer. He's an amazing head chef. He's so relaxed. Obviously, if you need telling off, you need telling off. And and I think that was the way to be, because before, just get shouted at sometimes for nothing.
Yeah, that doesn't always work for everyone. Yeah. Sometimes people just quit.
and he took the time to actually put the effort in, and it's a testament to him and the sous chef at the time, Darren Meacham. I need to give him a mention as well, because he really took me under his wing. With his guidance as well, I wouldn't be here either. So testament to them both, really. But yeah, Rob was a sound head chef. I very rarely got told off, which was good.
So when it was awarded its Michelin star, obviously with you all being such a family and so close, how did that feel? Did you all find out at the same time? And then...
well, obviously Rob already knew a few weeks beforehand, because he'd been invited to the dinner, but he had to keep it on the down low. But everyone knew, we were pretty confident. And when it got announced, and that, it was insane. We didn't just celebrate in the restaurant; it was a whole hotel. So you got banqueting as well, because there'd be some nights we'd be short on a chef, we'd be in the shit or something, and they'd come over and they'd help. They'd run a section or help on a section. So it was.
Did you ever have to go the other way? Did you have to go?
Yeah, sometimes.
How was that?
It was all right, And
it's hard work, hotels.
Yeah, it was nice though as well, because you don't sort of lose your edge then, because I was used to it anyway at Opus, doing banqueting and stuff.
Yeah.
70 odd covers, helping out on a wedding sometimes. I'd carve the beef or something if they needed me, or whatever they needed me for. And I used to enjoy it. I only done it 4 times when I was there, but it was nice to still do it.
Did everyone enjoy it? I bet some people were like, I don't want to do that.
I don't know.
You don't have to name names.
I can't speak for others, but...
I just know if I was in that position, I'd be like, oh man, I don't want to get stuck doing that.
Nah, yeah. I mean, the thing with banqueting, it's a hit and run, isn't it? It's in one go. You're rushed in one, for about an hour and a half, 2 hours, and then it all dies down.
Chill.
Clean down, have a few beers, go home. It's quite relaxed banqueting.
Has any of the TV work interested you?
No one's ever approached me. But, I love doing stuff that's out of the realm of the kitchen.
Yeah.
So the BBC Good Food Show, that was awesome.
Yeah.
It was amazing because I remember going there and buying my first chef's knife at the age of 14 with my mother. And to it come full circle, and now I was on stage and I was doing a dish, doing a demo, and I was like, wow, it's insane. But stuff like that, I love doing. Like I love doing like this kind of stuff as well. Podcasts.
Yeah. So you like branching out, see, it's not
bit of
just all about the
extra,
kitchen.
yeah.
It's
That's it.
whatever comes along.
Whatever comes
So the BBC come knocking.
Pardon me.
So you're at Hampton Manor. When the Michelin star coming in, did you know that they're coming in, or is it literally like? Because some people say it's a secret, and then we speak to other people, and other people are like, nah, we knew they would be in that
Yeah.
night and stuff like that.
From what I remember, I think they had an inkling
Yeah.
of being there.
So everyone's on top form that day.
Yeah. And I remember actually there wasn't that many booked on the night they came, and I think James, the managing director, James Hill, it's his baby, and he actually phoned up a few people to come and eat in the restaurant that night to fill it up, to make it
Yeah, seem busier.
substantial. And
Well, if the place is busy, you're always thinking straight away, oh, this must be good, it's busy.
yeah, and
So
I
it's a
remember I
massive
was on
help.
garnish at that time. I was still pretty new there, and I was working alongside Darren, who's on the sauce, so it's right next to the garnish. I think I'd annoyed Darren a little bit in the daytime. While I was prepping, because we used to do like a bar menu, and he was giving me a bit of stick in dinner service when Michelin's table came on, because he was like, I remember there was a steak and a chips that came on the bar menu, and you used to have to do like a garnish with a mushroom and a tomato, and I didn't take the eye out of the tomato.
Oh.
And he was giving me a bit of pants for it. He wouldn't tell me off, but he'd just give me a bit of stick, and he was like, when the Michelin table came on, he was like, I'll make sure there's no dodgy bits of mise en place. I was like, all right, nice one.
So there must have been a fascinating place to work, though, especially from where you had been as well.
Yeah, it's
so
amazing.
So Opus is a good level of food,
Yeah.
really good. But I haven't been to Hampton Manor yet, but I've seen the pictures and I know people that have been, and it just sounds.
Yeah, it was a totally different way of thinking about food, and literally like seeing the new techniques I hadn't even seen in the 6 years I was at Opus.
Would you say it was like an eye opener for you with food?
Massively, yeah, massively. And it's what now looking back is where I took most of my inspiration from, and my kind of style of food is a little bit of Hampton Manor.
Similar to that sort of vibe.
Not on the same standard. I wouldn't never say it's on the same standard, because I'm not that kind of person, but it's got attributes.
How long were you at Hampton Manor for?
I was there for 2 years, and actually it's funny because obviously David left Opus, and I ended up leaving, and because I was really close to the sous chef Darren, he ended up leaving as well, Hampton Manor, and he'd been there for like 9 years or something like that.
Well,
I think so anyway. Been there a long time, and he decided he wanted to leave, and he ended up going to Harborne Kitchen for a little bit.
nice.
So I was like, oh no, like, and I'd just been promoted to junior sous chef as well, and I was like, oh no, there's no sous chef here. Like, should I try and like push myself and try and bang the drum for myself to maybe get, another
up to that level.
Yeah, another level. But looking back now, I wasn't ready anyway.
No.
But I ended up leaving about 4 months after. Yeah, after I got my junior sous position. Looking back now, it wasn't the best way that I left.
Go on.
I'm not going to hide it. It's everyone makes mistakes, you know what I mean, and you learn from them.
I suppose it's worth remembering you're still really young now, so even then you're talking, what's that, 3 years ago, something like that?
Yeah,
21?
2016, something like that, I think.
Yeah, I mean, that's still really young. I mean, I'm not being, you've still got mistakes to make yet.
Yeah,
24.
I like to think now that, I'm a lot more mature now, and 100%, and the things I've been through in the kitchen, in the kitchen and outside of the kitchen have made me like that. But going back to that point, I remember I was going on holiday to the Maldives, like the next day, and I ended up turning up late because I went to get my hair cut, and I was on afternoon tea because the restaurant had started doing the afternoon tea because we wanted to do a whole different experience and flip afternoon tea on its head, so it wasn't what you expected.
Yeah.
And I remember I was starting at, I think it was like 11:30 or something. I think it was a late shift, and I ended up getting there at like 12:30, 1 o'clock.
Oh.
Obviously, Rob wasn't very happy with me, and he was like, "Where the fuck you been?" I was like, "I've just been getting my hair cut," and he's like, "Well, that's not good enough." And just had a bit of a Barney with him. I was just like, "Well, I'm going on holiday." He's like, "How your head chef?" I shouldn't have spoke to him like that, but it was from there I just decided, nah.
Well, I mean, I'm not being funny. People at that age are still at uni, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and
acting up and being stuff, and you're still.
So I ended up basically leaving right there and then. I was like, I'm not being spoken to like this, and a few things had been said about me from other people working there that weren't true. So there was already I felt like there was a bit of an agenda in the end.
Yeah.
When there wasn't, looking back now, your judgment's clouded. When you're angry, you just you don't think rationally. Looking back now, I made the mistake. I shouldn't have been late. Cooking to that kind of standard, like wake up a little bit and
Well, I said you're the head chef. What did you say if one of your Junior sous chefs came rolling in
Yeah,
an hour and a half
there's
late.
only 3 of us in the kitchen because we're a really small team.
Oh, you see, you'd really notice
But
it.
yeah,
Yeah.
you'd notice it. But like, I don't really shout. I've took that from Rob. I think. I don't shout. I don't kick up a fuss.
Yeah.
I just pull someone to the side after and speak to them. If they make the mistake again, then that's when you say, look, come on now, you're taking the biscuit. You know what I mean? You need to wake up. But yeah, I ended up leaving right there and then and going on holiday to the Maldives. And my mum's like, you should send some pictures to the lads at work. They might see what they might like. What's going on here about the food and stuff. And I was like, yeah. And I was like, I remember actually phoning. I had a guy who's a recruitment agent, and he was phoning me while I was on holiday. 'Cause he found out I'd left. Obviously, I had to lie to my mum at the time that I'd left, and
What
she
was
wasn't
going
very
on?
happy. She was. I'm telling you, if I was younger, she would have given me a beating. But
Yeah, I can imagine.
but she wasn't very happy. She was really disappointed in me because I blew an opportunity to potentially become sous chef there.
Yeah.
I'd let that go for what? For a haircut, basically.
Oh, Jesus.
You know what I mean? So looking back now, it wasn't the right thing to do.
Did it take you long to find another job?
Not really. So at that point as well, I was thinking, you know what, being a chef, like, if I'm going to get told off for a haircut. I wasn't thinking rationally. I was like, you know what, I've just been on holiday. I've come back, I was fresh. I was like, maybe I should try something else. And my mum was like, I'll be honest with you, Harvey, you're stupid. You're not going to be good at anything else. And that's the honest truth. And what am I going to do? Go to uni or something? Like,
Yeah.
no chance. I ended up doing a bit of agency work and I went down to Dormy House for a little bit.
Right.
Oh, no, sorry. So I ended up leaving Hampton. And actually, that's when I went to the wilderness.
Ah, right. Yeah, you mentioned earlier when we turned.
Yeah,
we
that's
talked
it.
about
So
that earlier.
that's it, yeah. So I left Hampton Manor and the wilderness was just moving to the jewellery quarter. Obviously, they're moving again, but where they are now at the moment. And I remember I sat down with Stuart Dealey and Alex, obviously Stuart, who was the head chef at the time, and they were like, we really like, what we've heard about you. Do you fancy coming on board? We'll make you a senior chef de party. I was thinking at the time, like, why can't you just make me junior sous? There's no one else there junior sous. Like, I've got to a standard. I've just come from a 1-star 4 rosette establishment. A bit at the time, I was like, what the hell's going on? Like, you guys are taking the piss out of me. Well, I just took it because I wanted a job.
Yeah.
I was there, and the wilderness is great, but I wasn't there for very long. I think I was there for like 6 months maximum. It just wasn't for me, the food style and stuff, because of what I'd learnt from a young age.
Was it a bit too sort of far out there?
Yeah, it was a bit out there, and like some of the stuff, like I know how to season food properly at that point. Like, I know the levels of seasoning and stuff like that, and I'd season it, and it wouldn't be good enough when I know for a fact it is. Little things like that, they just started to grate on me, and I wouldn't really have any influence on the creative side of anything.
So you felt it was time for a move after that? I felt like
it was time for a move, and that was the point. I was like, I'm going to fully pack this in now. I want to go into recruitment.
Would you say you'd picked anything up from working at the wilderness there?
A little bit, yeah. A little few things and little techniques that, fair play to Stuart. Obviously, I don't think we're the best of friends now, but at the time, he'd done a lot for me as well. He used to drop me off home and that, fair play to him. I learnt a few things off him, absolutely, because he'd come from Simpsons. So that was of a classic background.
Yeah.
A little few techniques and the way of working methodically as well, Stuart was really good at. But that was it, really.
So did you get to travel around much with the agencies?
A little bit, but I went down to Dormy House. That's when I went, because I wanted to do recruitment, and then I was like, nah, it's not going to happen. Like, wake up again, like another reality check.
Yeah.
You're a chef at the end of the day.
Why did the recruitment not happen? How far along the rabbit hole did you go? I went for an interview
to become a recruitment agent. For obviously you start off at like kitchen porters and stuff, I think, and they were like, we want you to work on the part-time, you're going to get a basic salary of like £15,000, and then anything is commission on top. And I got to that stage and I never got a call back, and actually I'm pretty glad I didn't, because I went on the agency as a chef and I went down to Dormy House, and I remember getting a phone call actually off Darren, because I was like, mate, I'm thinking of packing this in, mate, like I've had enough of like the industry and stuff. And he's like, well, what if I told you I've got a little bit of a thing going on right now? I'm actually on the way to become head chef at Swinfen Hall. And I was like, oh, really? He's like, yeah, I want you to become my sous chef there. I'm like, really? He's like, yeah. So he's like, chin up. And I was like, right, then I'm going to go on the agency. And I went down to Dormy House. And it was amazing, because I went there and I was the first agency chef to ever be put on the sauce. And they were like, why are you on the agency? They were shocked at how good I was, and I was surprised at the time. I was thinking, hold up, because I'd never been on the agency before. I'd never seen an agency chef in my life. And then I was thinking, what kind of standard are agency chefs working at then? If I'm pretty good. And it was pretty cool because the team at the time, they just transitioned, so they come from Whatley Manor, which was a 2-star establishment. Martin Burge and his head chef Sam Bowser, they'd moved to Dormy House, and there was a big massive project there. There's like where Dormy House is, it's on Farncombe Estate. There's 3 hotels. Martin Burge took over that project, and Sam Bowser was the head chef of Dormy. And I was there, and I was basically doing the sauce section, and that was amazing. Like the level of food, that was ultra classic. That was ultra classical. Nothing I'd ever seen before. And like, you know, making like boudins and stuff like that. It's insane. And cassonade, black pudding cassonade with licorice. I remember that one. And everything had to be done to the spec, and everything was tasted by Sam, the head chef. Everything. And like the way things were plated and stuff, like I'd never seen it before.
How did you get on with that? You know, because you've said so far you've had trouble with like being told what to do, and obviously if they're tasting everything, you've got no freedom for creativity there. Like,
yeah, when I joined Hampton Manor, that sort of went out of me.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so from Hampton onwards, I was ready to learn, give it my all. Working there was what really gave me the boost, and I was like, you know what, you can actually have fun, enjoy what you're doing as a chef. It's not all doom and gloom. You know, you can have fun.
Did Dorley House not try to take you off the agency? And
yeah, so they tried poaching me, and obviously I knew where I was going anyway. I was going to be sous chef at Swinfen Hall. And
you weren't tempted?
I was, and I wasn't. The salaries were really good at that time. I was thinking, and it's living as well. I was thinking, hold up a minute. At the same time as well, I was thinking, nah, like, I want to work with Darren because, you know, I've got such respect for him and for what he's done for me. I was like, nah, I want to work with Darren as his sous chef as well. So yeah, I went to Swinfen Hall.
Did you go anywhere else in the agency, or
no? It was just there. Yeah.
Were you quite glad you got the experience after just spending so long at Opus, and then all of a sudden you had Wilderness, Hampton? Were you quite glad you got to go around a bit first?
Yeah, it was nice to see different styles of food.
But you probably didn't think it at the time.
No, yeah.
It was probably horrible at the time, but now you can look back and go, oh well.
Yeah, it was amazing seeing the different types of food and the different, you know, different ways of doing stuff. Like, not everyone's going to do something the same way, but if it turns out right, then it's okay. And that was a good thing, like seeing different recipes and stuff like that.
Do you still have that philosophy that, like, your chefs might not want to do it your way, then, but if it comes out the same way that you want it in the end, is that okay?
So I always say, make it the way I make it, and if you can think of a better way, then that's fine. If it comes out the same, amazing. We'll do it that way from now on. So, for example,
always that open, yeah.
Yeah. I'm not.
That's good.
I'm not like the kind of person. It's not me, and you're doing as I say. There's a time and a place when that has to happen. Yeah, if something's going wrong in service, then I have to. You know, you have to step up. You're the head chef. What are you going to do? Just let everyone like carry on like sending stuff that's not right.
Yeah, you can't let the ship sink.
Yeah, you can't. You know, but it's about encouraging creativity and forward thinking. It's not me, my recipes, you do it, and that's it, and you go home. What's the point of that? And Hampton Manor was like that. It's, you know, you got the creativity, you got the freedom to, you know, you got the freedom to put dishes on. It's insane.
So at every level you had the freedom to put dishes on?
Yeah, so we used to do a thing called chef's lunch, because obviously we're closed for lunch. It'd be like once every 3 months or something, Rob will give you a course and an ingredient and a cost price, and you'd have to do a dish, and it'd be like the head chef from banqueting, the GM, and everyone would sit down and we'd try the dish. And not all the time, but that's how creativity and things got on the menu.
That's a wicked idea.
Yeah.
Have you come across many other places that do it?
No.
Do you do it here?
I've tried to, but
I suppose
the thing is, it's such a small team.
Yeah,
it's
3 of us. Yeah.
Yeah, we've got a lot to do. Like,
it's a wicked concept, though, isn't it? Like,
but yeah,
really,
I'd
really
definitely
good.
100% in the future look to do it. Like, we've got a lad who works in the kitchen. He's on a year's placement from UCB, and I was talking to him about Hampton Manor, about that kind of thing that we used to do. And I said, when it's towards the end of your thing, I want you to see what you've learnt here, see what's in season, and do a dish for us to try. You know that, and you know, he come from a Chiquito. There's nothing wrong with it, but the level of evolution from him has been insane. Like, when he first came through the door, he was, you know, he's used to just putting things in a microwave and smashing it out, you know, and he come here and now he's making the bread. You know, we make bread fresh every day by hand, no machine. Make it by hand,
Is there a reason you make it by hand, or
The machine's broken.
just to torture people? Like,
It's free workout for him, but no, he makes the bread and stuff, and he's running the larder, doing the snacks as well. We can't ask for more than that.
do you have a separate pastry room here? No?
Not a pastry room. We've got a pastry section, but the kitchen's tiny.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, the larder, and then you turn around, the pastry's there. Yeah. Yeah.
I was just thinking for bread making, obviously it's dependent on temperature. And
Yeah, the recipe I've got is we prove it in the oven anyway. In the rationale, there's a proving setting.
Where'd you get your recipe?
So that's actually a variation of the cheese bread. So I was looking around, and when I first came here, Richard Turner, who's the head chef, he had a sourdough on the menu, but he used to buy it in, and it costs like 150 something quid a week for bread, and it goes bad after one day. You know what I mean? It's not great. It's not a great product. And why not make it yourself? But when I was looking at putting the bread on the menu, I always know I wanted to do it fresh. I was thinking, do I want to do a sourdough? I was like, nah, I don't want to do one, because everyone does it. I'm like, I want to do something a bit different, my own thing. So it's basically a variation of the cheese bread that you do at Hampton Manor. So it's got like treacle in there, stuff like that, brown sugar and stuff. But we make ours, so it's a beer and malt loaf. So instead of the water, we put beer inside. And then we brush it with malt glaze, malt extract, and then some molten salt. So it's really tasty.
Nice.
Serve it with a yeasted butter as well. The butter has got what the bread's got inside. It's got yeast inside.
Yeah.
Toasted yeast butter is insane.
That sounds really good. You went to Swinfen, was it?
Yeah,
Whereabouts? At Derbyshire way?
Yeah, Lichfield. So just off the dual carriageway, literally right next to the
Yeah, I
prison.
thought it was. Yeah, I've seen it there before. I've passed it a few times. I've never been in there.
Right next to the prison. And I went there, and it was great. It was, to see the kind of vision that they had for Darren, and they basically promised us a load of things. They had a wall garden. They had the potential for everything. It was just a bit of a shame that Darren ended up leaving, because the things they'd promised weren't coming to fruition.
Yeah.
Which is like the soul of the dream, basically.
More so than any other industry. If you lie to a chef and promise them the world, chefs don't stand for that shit.
Nah,
Chefs are like, you promised me this, you haven't delivered, I'm gone.
Yeah, and the thing is, it had the potential to be like a Hampton Manor. It still has. Like the head chef there now, Bruce, it's his first head chef job. He's a pastry chef by trade. It's still got the potential, to become something amazing, a destination restaurant.
Did you stay there long? Or?
I wasn't there long at all. I was there for 6-7 months. But it's because Darren had left, and he basically wanted a bit more time with his family. He was feeling the pressure and stuff. And, I'd never seen that guy cry before, and that was the first time he cried in front of me. And I was like, wow, it's really having an effect on you.
How did it make you feel that you were so close to like finishing in the industry, and then Darren kind of brought you back in and got your hopes up, and then all of a sudden it just ended sour like?
At the beginning, I was disappointed, because I was like, I've come here to work with you, and that's the honest truth. I was disappointed, but I never told him, because of the amount of respect I had for him. It never affected our friendship, because that was the most important thing. We were friends outside of work and inside of work as well. And I understood why, because he's got a young family, he's got young daughters. He wants to see them grow up. You don't want to be doing slaving. And we were doing like 80 hours. I mean, we're doing breakfast shifts at 6 o'clock, and we're doing like 3 each a week, me and him, because no one else can do it. Can't trust them and stuff like that. And I was actually living there at the time in the staff accommodation, because I hadn't passed my driving test then. And I was like, oh man, I need to get out of here. And it was after that, when Darren had left, I stayed there for a little bit, helping out and whatever, and then I just parted ways. Yeah.
Where did you go to then?
So I came here then, and that was it. Yeah, I came here as a sous chef to Richard Turner. From there, that's when I became head chef when he left.
Things got interesting.
Yeah. Ding ding.
So I don't think we'll talk about that, because we'll probably get sued. I don't know where all of that stands, but we're here to talk about you.
Yep.
So, how was it working initially under? Like, he's a legend, isn't he?
I've got the utmost respect for him as well. He's one of the foundations in Birmingham for fine dining. He's done a lot. Working under him, the first couple of months was tough. He actually made me cry. I don't cry often, but he made me cry that night. I remember, because I challenged him on something, and obviously he's got the old school regiment of, okay, you're my sous chef, but you're still doing as you're told. Like, you're not making no decisions. And it took time for me to earn his respect. But once I earned it, he was your best friend.
Do you like that? Like you had the same at Opus, learning respect.
Yeah,
do you like having them little challenges for yourself?
Yeah, and actually, that's the one thing I said to my mum, like when I was speaking to her, because we're quite close, we chat about stuff, and I was like, you know what? It's actually like being back at Opus, like the regiment, and I'd missed that because, okay, yeah, it's all great, like Hampton Manor being a family place and that, it's amazing, but when I left there, I struggled because I was getting back into doing lunch service, back into doing this, back into doing breakfast shifts. It was tough.
Yeah, I bet.
And then coming here, working under Richard, doing that kind of old school mentality, it was good.
What's the services here? Has it always been the same, lunch and dinner?
Yeah,
Two
lunch
services.
and dinner. Yeah, lunch and dinner from Tuesday to Friday, lunch and dinner. Saturday, just dinner. Sunday, Monday, we're closed. That's it.
That's not too bad. At least you get the 2 days off.
Yeah, it's pretty good, and we try and do stuff on our days off. Like when you came here today, I was with my sous chef Andrea. Went for a few pints, and it's really important to me. Like we went to Wharton Towers in the summer, the whole team.
Oh, nice.
Because I've picked that kind of stuff up from Hampton. I try and implement it here, and it works.
So things didn't work out with obviously Chef Turner, and everyone parted ways. And then, how did you end up becoming head chef?
So, I was always talking to Gilles, the restaurant manager here, and a couple of the staff, the sommelier as well, about my vision of food and what I think about food and stuff like that. And I think they sort of picked that up. And when the time came to replace Richard, Gilles just approached me and said, "Do you fancy being head chef?" And I was like, you know what, 100%. Like, I could see what we can do here. Like, opportunity because I'd always said like we need someone young here. We need some young influence here, a bit of drive. He's like, yeah, that's we're gonna give you a chance. And he phoned up the owner, and I spoke to the owner. He was like, "I'm going to give you a shot, mate. Let's go for it." And I was like, you know what, let's do it then. Amazing.
Fair play to the owner and everyone else involved.
Yeah, it's a big risk,
It's an age that you think, well, maybe 5 years' time, come back.
Like, don't get me wrong, like I've done really well in the industry, but I'm not going to lie and sit here like and pretend everything's okay. Like, there's a lot of people I've pissed off as well, and there's a lot of people who love me. Like, it's one of them. Like, you're always going to get people who don't like you for right or wrong reasons. They could have easily picked up the phone and phoned people and asked, "Do you think Harvey's a good?" No, they didn't do any of that. They just gave me the chance.
Just briefly, you said you were sharing your vision for food and philosophies.
Yeah.
Could you share any of them with us?
Just like about food, like, so going back to Hampton Manor, like everything's within the seasons, and you're working with local produce cooked well. The thing is, there's a lot of restaurants out there. They get the best end of this. They get the best scallops, this and that, blah blah. It's easy to cook that stuff. Like, what takes more skill is if you get something that's takes time, that you have to nurture it, you have to care for it, and you put effort in, and that takes skill. Not cooking the best end of this or cooking that. And that's what I always thought. We don't have anything ridiculously expensive on the menu. Like, the most expensive thing we've got on the menu is a beef fillet, but we get that in whole. We break it down. All the trimmings, like the chain and stuff, we use for staff. We've got a mincer in there. Andrea makes his, bolognese. Sous chef is from Italy. Makes a banging ragu. Not bolognese. He'll kill me if he hears that. And then like the chateau, we use that as well. So nothing goes to waste, and it's broken down properly and stuff like that.
So the entire menu, nothing's the same as it was before. You've designed it. You've come up with everything yourself.
Every couple of months or so, I'll change the menu up to work with the seasons.
So it's a seasonal menu. It's always going to be different. You've got no dishes that will probably be on.
I've got elements of dishes. So like the apple dessert I was on about, the core foundations of that will stay the same, but the flavours will change. So it'll be probably like we could do one that's like a take on a frangipan, for example. So then you'd still have the puff pastry, you'd still have a mousse of some kind, or almond mousse or something, and then you'd have like a sorbet. So you keep the elements the same, but different flavours.
Do you find it hard to compete in Birmingham, since there seems to be quite a lot of... I mean, Birmingham's great for fine dining as well, especially this sort of level, and even more so the sort of laid-back level. It's still quite good on that, because you can go to many restaurants like Adam's. You don't have to dress up there. I've read on your website, you don't have to dress up too much to come here. Like, this seems like fine dining in Birmingham's got a more laid-back element to it than it does if you go to, say, London or other places where they've got it. So how do you sort of compete in that type of market?
Oh, at the end of the day, you can say compete, but it's kind of difficult. It's where people want to go.
Yeah.
It's down to them. You just have to believe in what you're doing, and not change when there's like a trend going on. You know, there was a lot of things with street food and that took off. You know, there's now all this vegan malark going on. Like, I ain't got anything against vegans, but it's not for me. I don't want it shoved down my throat.
No, that makes sense.
And there's a lot of places that now they'll start doing vegan everything. There's a lot of like, you know, Greg's and that, for example. It's crazy. Don't change what you're doing, because trends come and go. And just stick to what you know and do it well, and people will come.
That'll get you where you need to go.
That's it. Yeah.
So have you got many plans for this place then? So how long have you been the head chef now?
Well, it's coming up to a year now.
Was it last May? Was it?
Yeah. Well, I was not almost a year, but yeah, last May. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not far. It's
not far off. Yeah. Just want to keep the place busy, especially for lunch. I'm not going to lie and say, you know, we're fully booked all the time, because no places.
No worries.
It's just a lunch trade. You know, we've got all these places around us, but they've all got their own catering and stuff now. It's pretty difficult. Whereas, you know, 10 years, I'm talking like I'm like 40 years old, but like 10 years ago, you know, you get people will come to a restaurant to finalise a business deal or take a client out. You know, that very rarely happens now, because they've got their own catering. They've got their own fine dining going on as well these days. But I just want to keep the place busy. You know, and that's the main thing. We're really accessible, great value for money as well. Like,
I was going to say, because the taster menu is about the same level as what you'd expect, but then you've got the set menu that you can have as well, and that's great value.
Yeah, got the a la carte menu. It's, you know, it's £45 for 3 courses. But you're getting bread, you're getting booze, you know, getting all these kind of things that are not written on the menu. You're getting looked after.
You're getting the little bits that you'd normally get on the side.
You know, sometimes, you know, we have to stick, you know, an ad up on Groupon or something, because, you know, we need people in.
Well, that's it. You've got to do what you've got to do to get people in the restaurant.
A tasting menu for 2 people for £70, 6 courses. Come on, you know. And it's not different. It's nothing different. It's all the same. Because for me, we tried doing like a early lunch and evening menu, which was like, you know, kind of bistro kind of stuff, and it just wasn't working out.
No.
And you end up throwing half of it in the bin anyway.
No, you don't want to waste, especially the day and age. You don't want to be wasting food as well.
It's not what we were doing. It wasn't on the same level. So why are we going to try and do that to try and, you know, it's not going to work. It's not working.
How did your Sense night go? Because I read about that, and I read about it after it happened, and I was like, oh, I wish I'd heard about it. And then I know some people that were actually here that night, and they were raving about it.
It was really good, and it was nice to do something a bit different. Like I say, I like doing the things that are a bit not normal.
So how would you explain it to someone that I didn't know about the night?
So what we done a tasting menu. It was like 4 courses. Every dish had to have a bit of a sensory element, so you couldn't see the dish. You was blindfolded. The restaurant was blacked out. The dishes it was all to do on taste, smell, texture, them kind of things. So on the menu, I remember we did a beetroot dish with a goat cheese ice cream, a bread crisp. So all our bread that doesn't get served, like that's left over, we turn that into a crisp.
Yeah,
nothing goes to waste, and that's another thing as well about the philosophy and stuff, and the ethos is don't waste anything.
Did the people know what they were going to get?
They had a sort of a inkling, because the menu was like up there to see, but most of the people didn't know.
Do you have people that couldn't?
And that, but,
yeah,
you know, we catered for them, but I think they sort of didn't know what was going on, because I came out after and spoke to them about the menu, and they were like, "Oh, what was the main course?" I was like, "So that was duck that you had?" And they were like, "Wow, that's duck. We couldn't see it. We didn't think it was duck."
That's amazing. It's amazing that Sense makes such a difference with eating.
It was such a cool thing to do, you know, for charity as well. You know, you always got to give back. You know, that's really important. And it was a really good night. Everyone enjoyed it.
Have you read that book, Gastrophysics?
No, I don't read books.
Nah. But that's all about. I think it was the scientist who worked with Heston.
Yeah. When
they were designing the refurb on the duck. But it's basically what you're saying there, like how everything affects the taste of food. Like colour, smell, how it looks like, size of plate, heaviness of the cutlery. But yeah, it's cool if you're into that kind of thing. Like it's not a massive book to read, but you can get it on Audible and listen to it. That's what I do.
So I'll have to check that out.
It's definitely you'd be really interested in that stuff. Like it sounds like it was an awesome evening. I didn't know much about it, so it was nice to hear about it then.
Yeah, it was lovely to do as well. And I tried on the. They had some like blindfold things as well, like different types of glasses for different levels of blindness and stuff like that. And I tried that, and that was really cool as well to like look from that perspective.
So did Sense come in as well and
so
it was
a guy from Sense. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he came in and he basically helped organise it along with our PR.
Wow. And is there more stuff planned like that for the future?
Not
Or would you consider it?
Not planned right now, but I'd love to do it. Like, you know, if people want to, like, on Monday we just gone, we done that event, the forum thing. That's something a bit different. Like, if anyone wants to use this space for something, charity event, you know, anything, we're open to it.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. So any more plans for directions you want to go in with the restaurant? Any more, like, things coming up you want to talk about?
There's nothing much really going on. Like I said, we just want to get the place busy. That's the most important thing. And you know, it's only now the reputation of Maribel's is slowly picking up. You know, like yourselves, like your approach to do this, and you know, that just shows that the name of Maribel's and myself, like what we're doing here is, you know, it's working.
Well, it is. People have told us about this restaurant, and people have mentioned you by name. Yeah, you need to speak to Harvey and all this.
Yeah, actually, I think our fish supplier gave me a cheeky mention.
Who's that?
Sarah from M&J.
Yeah.
She's class. She is, yeah.
But no, your name's come up a few times now, which is always a good sign.
For good or bad, I don't know.
We haven't heard anything bad. Well, I haven't heard anything bad.
Speaking in general, do you have any like restaurants you admire or look up to? They don't have to be in Birmingham. It could be anywhere.
Not really. Like, I'll be honest. Like, I don't really pay attention to, like, you know, all these like 2 stars and 3 stars. It doesn't really interest me. I'll be upfront about that. What interests me is, you know, places that are serving good food. That's what interests me. So it doesn't even have to be fine dining. It could be something, you know, that's a bit different, like, you know, original Patty Men or something like that. Yeah. That interests me. Stuff like that interests me. Digbeth dining.
Interests me,
so,
yeah.
You know what I mean? So all these kind of places. I'd say fine dining wise, it's Hampton Manor hands down for me. That's had the influence on me. Yeah. When I was at Hampton, I did a few stages actually. I went to Casimir in Bristol.
Nice.
Worked there, and that was epic working there. You know,
2 brothers that own that, isn't it?
Yeah, it was Peter Sanchez now. His brother unfortunately passed away a few years ago, and I actually spoke to him, you know, because they were on the, I can't remember, was it the F Word or something, or Ramsey's Best Restaurants?
Yeah,
they were on one of them programs, and actually I remember speaking to him about it and saying, "Oh, how was it?" And I remember him telling me it was an amazing experience, exposure for the place, because they already had a star as well.
Yeah, it did.
When they were on there. But it was amazing to work there because he knew I was from Hampton Manor, and I'd spoken to him and I'd said, because I had this passion fruit pre-dessert thing on, and I was like, "Where'd you get your passion fruits from?" They're like, "Oh, we just get them off our supplier." I'm like, "Have you ever tried these jumbo passion fruits?" And they're like, "What?" And they'd never heard of it. And at Hampton Manor, we used to get these jumbo passion fruits like flown in, and they're like 3 times the size, and they're amazing.
Did it taste the same as normal?
It's like on steroids or something. It's insane. Like it's so amplified the flavour.
Do you know what they do to get them like that?
I don't know. I think it's just that variety of passion fruit.
Oh, it's not GM.
No.
Science lab, like.
I remember at Hampton, so I'd done the stage there, and I remember there was an annual awards thing at the staff party for people who have achieved in the year and stuff.
Yeah.
And I was one of them, luckily enough. And James Hill, the managing director, took us all down to Casimir. There's about 10 of us, and we went there a week after I'd done the stage. Went down there to eat, and I took some passion fruits down with me. I was like, "Yeah, lads, try these," and they're like, "Oh, they're amazing."
That's cool, isn't it?
I've done a week stage at Sat Baines as well, which was really cool.
Intense.
It's intense. But it's funny when I went there because obviously Sat's from the same part of the world as me, pretty much. You know, got a bit of the same background. But what was funny when I got there, he was like, "Where are you from?" I was like, "From Birmingham." He was asking me my background and stuff. Obviously, it matched, and he was like, "Oh, so you're a Punjabi gangster?" And his wife was actually there, and she turned around and she was like, "Oh, it takes one to know one, Sat." And he just dead silence. You know, his boss there. But it was really cool. Like, it was intense. I'm not gonna lie. I've never seen anything like it. That's the most intense work atmosphere I've been in. Everyone's literally running around all day, non-stop. But they get 3 days off a week, so you know
they do.
You just put it in for 4 days.
That's his philosophy, though, isn't it? He has you 1 day off to sleep, and then 2 days to have your weekend to do what you want to do. It's cool, that is.
But yeah, that was really cool working there for a week.
There's a team of 3 of you in the kitchen.
Yep.
Different challenges now that you're a head chef. How do you?
Yeah, no, like yes, in the sense that, you know, anything that comes through the kitchen is my responsibility. It was before, but now it's on me.
Yeah.
And I take everything. Sometimes I wear my heart on my sleeve, which is not always the best thing to do going way back to taking criticism to now. Obviously now I'm a lot better at it, but sometimes you have to, steer the ship in the right direction. If I remember once one of the lads who came in, he was hanging, he'd literally been out on the Friday night. I don't know what time he got home, but he came in, he was looking like a zombie. He was out of it. And I remember I had to give him a right telling off. And, since then, he knows if he wants to go out, enjoy yourself, but don't, you're still representing Maribel at the end of the day.
Yeah.
There's pictures of you on social media. You need to just wake up a little bit on that sense. And since then, he's been okay. There's them kind of challenges, obviously, when people have got stuff going on outside of work as well, and it has an effect on them. It's like myself, it's been a thing before. You have to put your arm around them, you have to talk to people.
Yeah.
They're not just here to come and work. Like, we speak to each other, you know what I mean? We tell each other our problems. We help each other out, and that's and that's really important to me. But that's one of the challenges as well, balancing everything. And obviously food costs and stuff like that, and yeah, all of it really. But I've seen both sides of it. I've seen it where you can get stuff in, you have to work from a tight budget, and I've seen like Hampton Manor, there wasn't really a GP there.
Yeah.
And you're ordering the most incredible things. It's insane.
The aim was just to get the best ingredients possible.
Yeah.
Cost didn't really matter too much. Yeah. Do you have any mentors you can phone, like for a bit of advice or anything?
So Darren's definitely one of them. I met up with him actually a couple of weeks ago for a cheeky pint, because he does contract catering now. So he works in Gowling and Snow Hill. So it's like the fine dines there. He popped over and we had a pint and that, and we were just chatting. So he's definitely someone. Darren is someone I definitely talk to for advice. David as well. So I remember David, he came in and he actually came and ate here. Like when I got the head chef position, I was like, wow.
Were you nervous?
I was shitting it. I'm not lying. I was bricking it. But he loved it, and he said it was amazing. And that was
that's nice.
From that moment, I knew like, yeah, okay, this is me. Like I'm ready now. This is it. Like I can take this. Before then, it was like a couple of months. I was like, am I actually going to be okay being head chef? Don't change. Like all these things are running in your head. Like, don't change with people. And that's really important. You don't want to change your sort of attitude and the way you are with people, even though you're in a more senior position. But he came in, he ate the food, and he loved it. And from then, it was just, boom, my confidence just took a big boost. But them two people, definitely.
It's always good to have a few mentors to call on. Obviously, your mum. Yeah.
Always got her. I don't mention her enough. She'll give me a quick round.
I normally, in most, especially the episodes with chefs, but I try and do it in every episode, is I try and get some kind of advice. And from you, I would like, what advice would you give to somebody who's about to take on their first head chef role? Or maybe they're a bit younger, or they feel like they're kind of like they've got something to prove because, I don't know, maybe they haven't got as much experience as somebody else. What advice could you give them? Just
be confident in yourself and don't change. Like I said, that's the most important thing. Don't change the way you are with people, because as soon as you start trying to be aggressive in your approach with people and try and mimic like these chefs that you get shot at people for nothing, you're gonna lose yourself. You're gonna lose your personality, and that's what I'd say. Be confident and don't change, and trust the people around you. They're there for a reason. Like you was there for a reason before. Like they're there for a reason because they can do the job. It's not a one-man show. Everyone's in it together, front and back of house. That's really important. Don't try and force your opinion on people who know how to do something better than you. So even though you're head chef, you can't come out here and start telling people what wines to put on the list.
Yeah.
You got to just calm yourself down a little bit.
That's really mature outlook, and I think way beyond your years there. It's class. Really good to hear. Obviously, you don't want people to go and start watching Boiling Point and copying Ramsay.
Don't get me wrong, I love Boiling Point. Actually, when we do a deep clean, I stick Boiling Point on. And
it's so funny.
I used to do that, stick Boiling Point
it's so funny. It's so funny going back and watching it now. Because I remember at the time, and it's like it was a different world. 1999 or something. Just a completely different one. Imagine slapping someone on the back of the head and calling them a fucking idiot.
You do that now, you're in a whole world of trouble.
You can't do that. Yes, you're watching it cringing, thinking, Like, why did he stand for that? Because no one would stand for that now. Like, it's just a different era, but it's brilliant to watch.
It's amazing to watch.
Yeah.
And,
just don't go. That's your advice. Don't start doing that shit.
Don't start thinking you're Gordon Ramsay.
Hey, big boy.
Yeah.
Big boy.
Ramsay's actually one of the early, one of them kind of celebrity chefs. Who he is a celebrity now. He can't even deny that himself. That no one's ever going to get to that level again. Like there's plenty of successful people, but he's just on a totally different planet. Like he's just insane. Like the amount of things he's done for the industry. Like back then it was all about celebrity chefs, wasn't it? Like when he done Boiling Point and stuff. There's obviously Marco as well at the time.
Gary Rhodes.
Yeah, all of them. Shout out Gary Rhodes. First cookbook was Gary Rhodes.
Yeah.
And he was
Keith
passed
Lloyd.
away, which was it had an effect on me, because I had one of his cookbooks and I was like, bloody hell, that's another solid foundation of hospitality industry in the whole of the UK.
We were saying like if you could trace like most of the top chefs now back to like Gary Rhodes, Gordon Ramsay, like you could put them all the way back. Yeah, all the way back. There's like a timeline there, isn't there? Like a tree.
Gordon Ramsay for me is like a benchmark. He's so successful. It's insane. No other chef's going to get to that level. I'm firmly believe with that. Yeah, we're in
different. Different.
Well, now obviously you got like Tom Kerridge and people like that. He's doing really well for himself, and he was at the Good Food Show actually, and he recognised me because he'd years ago. There's a video on YouTube when he came to Opus, and he done a dinner on a Monday night or something.
Yeah,
it was Pennell's, Opus, and Tom Kerridge. And he actually recognised me when I was at the BBC Good Food Show just last year in November. From then, I was like, wow, it's amazing.
He must have met like thousands of people in between then.
And it was just mad because I was allowed access to the green room because I was doing a demo. And, you got Rick Stein over there chowing down on some salmon. You got Tom Kerridge over here. You got all these people around you. And I'm like, bloody hell,
that's the level you're at. That's where you're at.
I was going over to him. I was like, "Can I have a picture?" And they were really kind enough to do so. It was surreal.
We normally finish. Well, we've started to finish now. I don't know if we've done it at the end of Alex's, where Carl questions everything. So he's just going to ask you a few questions.
Yeah, sure.
Not so much food or restaurant related, just to get to know you a little bit better. Just quick fire answer. Nothing too serious.
Yep.
Hello again. What's your favourite movie?
Movie Scarface.
Nice. What's your favourite band?
Oh no! So I listen to like hip hop UK.
Are you allowed to say world favourite artists?
D Block Europe. That's my favourite.
Wow, I haven't heard this. Yeah. I feel old now. I'll have to write this down. What's your favourite spirit? And I mean specifically to the bottle.
I'd say vodka, but it'd have to be the Ciroc Peach. Yeah, I'm a bit of a fairy like that.
That's nothing wrong with that, mate. I'd drink it. What's your favourite beer?
Carling. Can I have a Carling, darling?
You can have Carling. You know what? A few people have said it. Yeah. You're not the only one. What's your favourite sort of big food, sort of fast food chain?
Oh, Mackie D's, 100%.
You're a Mackey's.
Yeah, I was just there last night. Yeah.
You can't beat it, can you? It's. I think Alex said something similar then, and he's like, just for consistency, there's nowhere better. Like, you go anywhere in the world and you ask for a Big Mac, you get a fucking Big Mac.
McDonald's is definitely the place to go.
What's your favourite takeaway?
Yeah, McDonald's.
Takeaway. You go in there as well.
KFC as well. I like KFC.
Yeah, I've got KFC down on there. What's your favourite dish that you cook at home?
My mum's chicken curry. I think I've got it down pretty much now.
You've mastered it.
Yeah, not the rice though. I'll leave that to her. But the chicken curry, that I've made it here for staff as well.
Yeah,
I've got it pretty down.
It's that good.
Yeah, I used to make it at Hampton as well.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it a secret, or can you give me the recipe?
It's easy. It's just you couple of onions, garlic, chili, ginger. Blend it up a little bit, not too fine, so it's a paste. Fresh tomatoes, not tinned tomatoes. Fresh chopped tomatoes, chop them by hand. In a pan, veg oil in with that mix. Then in with garam masala, a little bit of chili powder, ground cumin, ground coriander. Then a little bit of chicken stock, so like Knorr chicken bouillon or something. That's the perfect thing to put in there.
Yeah.
Sprinkle a bit of that in, put your chicken in, straight in with the water. So you're not searing your meat or anything, it's just poaching in the broth. And finish it with fresh chopped coriander at the end and some salt. The kind of curries that I have are proper traditional, like the more like broths.
Yeah.
Not these thick, stodgy things, no chicken tikka masala, nothing wrong with it.
No, don't get me started on that.
But that's what that is. Nice brothy chicken curry.
Well, this has been great.
Really simple. Really? That's it. That's all that's in there.
I'd make that. I'm obsessed with Indian cooking at the moment. That and Mexican cooking, so I'm all over
I've seen
it.
what you guys did actually. You done a little chicken pop-up thing. Just cooking.
The thing at Little Blackwood.
Yeah.
We did a pop up there where I did one course, Liam did another course, and then two other bloggers did two of the other courses. Yeah.
Looked pretty good actually. That meat and one veg, man. I'm telling you, that looks like serious pudding. That did.
Yeah, it was. It was a really good pudding of Ben's. I mean, size. And on that note,
Thanks very much, Harvey. Really appreciate your time and inviting us down here for the blast. It's been a blast.
Cheers, guys.
Been a blast.
Much appreciated. Thanks for coming down and taking the time to speak to me.
It's been awesome. Thanks, mate. Take care.